going live.
We're
live.
Why do you hate cats, Willis?
What are you talking about? I love cats. Hey.
I can't believe Adam's not here for one day, and you're like, man, I just no cat videos on the internet for me.
Look, if anything, it was actually... So, yeah, I've always been a dog person, yes, but it's actually because of BB that I turned into a cat person. So
it's really funny how a lot of people who say that they're only dog people turn out to be just animal people once they actually get to know a cat.
I know.
Look, I had a cat when I was a kid. I love cats. I'm super duper allergic.
Yeah.
So I'm not allowed to have cats, unfortunately.
I am also allergic to cats, but I had one.
Yeah, well, I had an outdoor one when I grew up on the farm in Tennessee.
Oh, is it a mouser?
He didn't limit himself to mice.
So, Elena,
opportunity murder.
Yeah.
Did you always have to take like medication for your allergies then?
So there's a thing, and I fortunately benefited from this, is that if you're exposed to a single cat long enough, some people just get acclimated. So that was my case. The only thing that I had to watch out for is that if I was cleaning, I'd have to put on like a mask or something because then that would kick, like that amount of his dander would then set off my allergies. But like day to day, I got used to him. But if I go to someone else's house, I'd have to take like an allergy medicine because otherwise I'd be like scratching at my eyes and all that.
If I like touch a surface that the cat's been on and then touch my face, then the whole side of my face pops
Turns
up.
red?
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I have similar. Yeah.
I have a controversial take. I'm actually not a pet person whatsoever.
What?
I have nothing against dogs or cats. I'll pet them and stuff like that. I have no desire to have them.
It's fair.
But my girlfriend and I moved in together a couple years ago, and she has 2 cats.
So that means you have 2 cats now too, Brad?
No, I consider myself the cat uncle. Like I'll pet them and I'll give them treats. Like part of the reason I don't want pets is because right now she's at work. I walked into my office to do this, and there's a giant pile of puke like right there, stinking up the place.
Yep.
And I have no desire to touch that. So we bought a bunch of little, like, the wet floor signs you see at grocery stores. I got little medicated versions that say cat puke, and it has one of those plopped right over it, and she comes home and handles them.
So it's like she made a present for your girlfriend.
Yeah, I got you something.
No, the funny part.
Something.
The funny part is to me is that it chose to do it in your office because
that's a message. Yeah.
It's basically saying like, "Hey, I like you. Do you want to clean up my gross stuff?"
It's shared. My girlfriend sits over there. It's not even that. The cats don't care about me.
Look, the dog at least has the common decency in the middle of the night when that happens to make a series of horrible sounds that wake up everyone in close proximity. Like,
oh my gosh,
like you hear a dog heaving and like we used to have a corgi and I taught her to puke into the bathroom, into the toilet.
Wow.
She would start heaving,
smart dog.
And then I'd walk over and I'd scoop her up and put her front paws on the toilet seat, and she'd just let it rip right there and flush, and I'd be back in bed in like 3 minutes.
Just like a regular human.
Great. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I will say that I think most pet owners, if not cat owners specifically, will say that there's nothing that wakes you from a deep sound sleep than the sound of your animal starting to go. Yeah, and you're like, what are you facing?
Yeah. But the thing is, they always do it right on the fringe. Like, if you have a rug with a fringe, that's the number one place to vomit. Like, because how do you clean that? It's impossible.
One time, I startled my cat in the middle of his like heaving by just like shoving paper under him, and he like jumped, and somehow it actually helped the projectile meet the paper, and I was did it?
Yeah, fist bump there. That's a.
He was not happy with me, but I was super happy.
I guess welcome to the number one show on the internet about pet barf. Hello. This is the pre-show.
Like, here's the thing, though. I think that this is still a mild version of what parents have to go through.
Look, by the end of the first year, there's nothing that's gonna faze you. There
was a time where I was literally catching my cat's pee in my hands because I was trying to save the carpet, and I was like, well, this is my life now. And I thought to myself, I don't think this is worse than what my friends and my family have gone through with their kids.
I've never caught pee, just to be thrown that out there.
So this is a daughter, like my grandmother used to tell a story about me being a baby, and she only had daughters, and she didn't know how to deal with the different mechanics.
I was going to say the same thing.
Like, I made a fountain while she was changing my diaper one day, and she was like, but the one I was gonna say is that somewhere like I think when my daughter was maybe 9 or 10 months old, I took the dog out for a walk and I forgot to bring a poop bag.
Oh.
And I was just like,
oh no.
I was just like,
where is this going?
Look, it's fine. It's fine. The trash can's right there. I'm right here. I can just do like real quick and then rub it off on the ground and wash my hands real good when I get home. It's just poop. It's not going to hurt anything.
You rub?
Well, the grass. The grass is cleaning.
I was gonna.
No, I don't grind my hand into it. It's not a like, see what you did here. Elena's shocked. I broke Elena. It's just poop, Elena.
I would have hoped that you at least had a napkin in your pocket, but no, this story did not have any of the elements in it that I wanted.
I mean, look, I looked at like twigs and leaves.
You talking about catching pee?
Yeah, I'm not going to leave.
Look, I just say that like I feel like urine is a little less gross.
Here's the thing. My commitment to not leaving a poop on one of my neighbor's front yards is very high.
That is quite the commitment to your neighborly relationships.
I am look, I have chased people down in my front yard when they let their dog, like somebody has a huge German Shepherd that takes like human-sized poops, and they just like casually saunter on as if the dog did nothing in my yard. I'm gonna chase them down. I'm not. Once you have that relationship with the neighborhood, you can't be like, you have to pick up the poop. There's no.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to, but I appreciate that you don't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah, of course.
Good job, Will.
Look, if there's anything that Gen X hates more than anything else, it's hypocrisy.
So,
financial stability, maybe close number 2.
Speaking of animals and pets, how are our hamsters doing?
Our hamster's running great. I've been perfect. The hamster's been doing really well for the past couple of weeks after we saw the problem.
Glad we fed it.
Yeah, we fed it well.
It's running well.
Yeah. Will, you're gonna have to clean up the hamster poop later.
That's
just
fine.
FYI.
The hamster poop's no problem. We watched the guinea pigs from my daughter's classroom for years. After her first grade teacher had guinea pigs, and none of the other parents wanted to take the guinea pigs home. So we were the keepers of the guinea pigs for like 3 years. Yeah, we would have them for like 2 weeks in the summer, and then they'd go to another family and.
People would foster, basically.
Yeah, just like loners over the summertime, so she didn't have to take care of the guinea pigs all summer. I love guinea pigs.
Are they as clean as people say they are? Or are those chinchillas I'm thinking of that like bathe themselves in their own dirt?
So
like dust?
Chinchillas I follow a chinchilla influencer on YouTube.
Oh, that's a thing.
Yeah, my daughter is very into the chinchillas, and I was like, no, we don't have air conditioning, so we can't get chinchillas because they die. Yeah, you have to keep it at like 62 degrees or something. So from the high mountains of South America. Is my friend Brad, the other Brad in my life, Brad Shoemaker, who I'm on Brad and Will made a tech pod with, used to keep guinea pigs for years and years and years, and they're very affable for rodents. They're very sweet.
Are they cuddly?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like they'll come up and so he had his in just a pen that was open.
Oh, okay.
In his office.
All right.
And like 99% of the time they would just stay in the pen. But if you'd come up and pick them up, then they'd like lay on you and stuff. And then they'd walk back to their pen when they were tired of being out with the people.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's like cats without the claws.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice cats.
Yeah, and also they eat grass and
not
like
my hell beast.
Leaves and stuff like that instead of, they don't bring you any presents of dead animals.
I've been told that some cats do that because they think that you are not capable of hunting yourself. And so that's their way of saying, well,
makes sense.
You're part of my colony, but man, you're a terrible hunter.
Yep.
So here, I brought you something.
Yeah, you don't have to eat berries tonight, buddy. We one day the corgi, we were at an Airbnb up in outside Petaluma on West Sonoma, on the bay, and she was it was fenced, so she was just like wandering around the outside, and she startled some birds that were by a sliding glass door. And one of the birds flew into the glass and stunned itself. Oh. Because corgi, their legs are like that long. They're always chasing birds, and they're never going to catch anything. So it's completely harmless and really fun. She caught the bird when she was like 10 years old. She's like, this is the best day of my life. She wouldn't. She just walked around with the dead bird dangling out of her mouth for a couple hours. We couldn't get her to release the bird.
So the bird stunned itself.
Then she took care. She finished the fight. Oh. Yeah, just yeah.
Oh, literally
Circle
a fatal
of life,
mistake.
Yeah,
Poor
circle
thing.
of life. Exactly. Yeah.
Poor thing.
Yeah. So I finally pried the bird out of the dog's mouth. Oh, that was way worse than picking up the poop, for what it's worth. The dead bird, super gross. It was all slobbery and birdy, and like you don't want that. And then I was like, how am I going to
You
get?
grew up on a farm, though, right?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. That actually explains.
I've had my arm inside of all sorts of animals. It's a horror show.
Oh my gosh, we are never getting a Disney sponsorship.
We usually use gloves for that. It's like a Disney. You think a Disney princess hasn't helped birth a horse before?
They never have bird poop on them when they're singing. The birds
that's
gather.
true.
It's like that's where the magic comes from.
Cartoon birds poop sparkles, sprinkles.
See, we should have had this conversation last week so we can get that Zootopia sponsorship from
Oh my
Disney.
gosh.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Yeah. When I finally got the bird out of the dog's mouth, I was like, we're on the bay. I was just going to circle of life it back into the bay. And then I was like, if I do that and the dog does a flying leap off the dock, I'm going to have to climb down into the water to get the dog because it's like 10 feet down. And also she's not a great swimmer because of the aforementioned 3-inch legs. So
Okay.
So I had to put the dog inside, then huck the bird, and Gina was distracting the dog in the other room so that she didn't see the dog go into the anyway.
The water.
Yeah.
I will say, I feel like for most of the people who watch the show, I think you'll relate to this. Sometimes I get sad about being like old-ish now, like semi-old, as I like to call myself on Reddit.
Every day when I wake up, I'm sad about being old.
However, I will say there have been times where like I'll plan to do something and my brain will go, well, you should do it this way because this could happen. And then this, you want to watch out for that. And this, I was like, hey.
Oh, that's anxiety.
No. Like it's actually, it's not the anxiety. It's that I was like, wait a second. This is life experience talk. Oh, wow. Okay, I guess there is a side benefit to all of this.
Oh, yeah. Look, at least you're applying
your
it
gut
well.
just goes, you know better. You know better.
Yeah, where it's like, I should probably do something with this jar in a way that if it shatters, it won't cut my feet because that's happened to me before. So I'll just do it this way instead. I'm like, oh, I've learned things. Nice.
Yep.
Experience.
All right. It sounds like the hamsters are happy again.
They're better. We lost audio for a little bit.
We did?
The Focusrite had some issues, but I found a way.
Okay.
Willis finds a way.
I do find a way.
Willis, did you unplug and replug it?
I did.
Okay.
All right. So the smiley face is on the right on the camera. I should be looking at.
That's the one we talked to.
Okay, that's the one. Well, sometimes the smiley face moves.
No, that one's just for other stuff.
Sometimes the smiley face is on that one.
All right, I'm ready for you. Elena,
All right.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, here we go.
You got this.
All in my fill-in host powers calling upon them. All right, here we go. In this episode of The Full Nerd, RIP Crucial, new tech. Oh, sorry.
The prophecy is fulfilled.
I did it. I messed it up.
Almost there.
Almost there. All right, here we go. Okay. In this episode of The Full Nerd, RIP Crucial, old tech new again, and your questions answered. And welcome to episode 377 of The Full Nerd. I am your fill-in for your fill-in host, Elena. And with me on the line is co-host Brad Charkis.
Hello, Internet. If you missed our pre-show on YouTube, I revealed I'm not a pet person. Hello.
He's so casual about it. And then next to me is the eminently interesting Will Smith with his poop story.
Shocking revelations on the pre-show today. Shocking. I'm going to tell you, shocking.
They're all from him.
I feel
too.
very judged.
All those revelations.
If you grew up on a farm, you like.
Yeah, okay, but you're talking to the person that carries like hand sanitizer for like touching one of those like grab bars on Muni. Okay.
Well, yeah, I wash my hands after I touch one of those too. They're gross.
Okay,
that makes
thank you.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
like
logical.
there's enough money in the world to get me to put my mouth on one of those things.
Okay, I'm not gonna add.
No, don't do that. I don't want to know.
Any of it.
leaving it. And of course, keeping us from completely running amok, controlling the verticals and horizontals is Will Sly.
Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Just FYI, I do love animals. I do love cats and dogs and hedgehogs.
Oh, yeah. Those are really cute.
Yeah.
Really, really cute.
Did you go to a hedgehog cafe, Elena, when you were in Japan?
No, I was so shocked by how many options there were. Because when I went like maybe 7 or 8 years ago to Asia, it was just, cats. Maybe, I don't remember if the dogs were an option. And then like owls.
Oh, yeah.
Inexplicably, like owls. And I was like, okay, like this seems pretty exotic already. And then I went back and suddenly it was just like, you got this animal and this animal and this animal and this animal. I'm like, dang.
They have raccoons now, right?
That's trash pandas are a no for me.
Yeah, no, they're filthy. They're awful.
Have you seen the claws, like the hands?
We've talked about this
paws,
before. They
rather?
have thumbs. It's disconcerting.
But it's Japanese trash panda, so maybe a little bit better, right?
They may be marginally cleaner, but
yeah.
not marginally, probably a whole multitude cleaner, but still. You can't take the trash panda out of the trash panda is what I'm saying.
You can't take the trash out of the trash panda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's much better.
Yeah, raccoons are scary. San Francisco raccoons are especially scary. Anyway.
They have no fear, and that's disconcerting.
Yeah.
Very disconcerting. Also disconcerting, I would say, is our first topic for today, which I'm sure everyone heard the news about, which is Micron took Crucial out into the back for a long permanent nap. Or is going to.
I was on vacation and I heard about the news.
Yeah.
Like Old Yeller.
Crucial flew into a glass window and then the dog grabbed it and the next thing you know it gets thrown into the bay.
No.
For that reference, if you are an audio listener, that is an immediate callback to our pre-show, which is, I guess, only available on YouTube. So you'll have to actually look up the YouTube version of the show to see to hear what Will is referring to.
But yeah, so the Crucial thing, for folks who don't know, we should probably explain, right?
Yes.
Micron just said, hey, we're not going to sell RAM directly to consumers with the Crucial brand anymore. And then they shut down both the RAM and the SSD business that Crucial's done for 15 or 20 years at this point?
29 years. 29 years. So they mentioned it as both memory and storage. A lot of the headlines focus just on the RAM aspect, but I think it's important to note that they are shuttering the entire brand. It's not just the line of memory only.
Yeah.
So
they make some of the best freaking portable SSDs around too.
Yeah, well, they're completely exiting the consumer space, is what they're saying.
They're what, the T700 or whatever was the fastest PCIe 5 SSD you could buy for a long time. It's really disappointing.
It's a real loss, and I think for me, what was most interesting about this is that how transparent they were about leaving the consumer business. They just straight up said, paraphrased, obviously, we can make more money on the enterprise side, so we're going to go do that.
Wait, so they didn't like couch it with like changing market conditions or because like the thing that's important to note about Crucial and Micron is that there are three companies that make RAM, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Micron, SK Hynix, and Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
And Micron is one of those three. It's 30-ish% of the RAM market for the world. And they're saying, hey, we can make more money if we sell to somebody that's not you chuds.
Pretty much.
Is just shocking.
It was extremely straightforward language, in my opinion, because, I mean, it was still professional. It was still obviously written in a business language style, but it didn't have any of that sort of like, well, due to, as you said, market conditions, we've reevaluated the business and, after many years, blah, blah, blah. I mean, there was a little of that in there, but the fact that I can say, hey, they basically said, we can make more money with enterprise, so we're going to do that, is because their language was that transparent. It's normally when it's the way that you're talking about, you'll hear us say things like, well, reading into it, right? But it's in the language. And
did they say, like, when they say enterprise, do they mean like laptops for businesses or something else, Elena?
I'm using the word enterprise. While you two talk, I will bring up the actual press release.
That's actually one of the big questions for me. I think they're mostly going to focus on data center and stuff like that would be my guess, the big business. But I'm really curious to see if they do, in fact, continue to supply like the Dells and HP of the world with SSDs and especially RAM, because they can still do that without calling it Crucial brand. So
well, that would be through
Crucial
Micron, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see, like, how does this affect RAM availability to the OEMs is what I'm wondering.
The stuff that I've read about this seem to imply that, like, the big OEMs, like your Dells and HPs and Lenovo's and Asus's, are typically buying chips directly or DIMMs directly from the manufacturer and probably have contracts for those in place far in advance. So they've bought their 2026 allocations already, most likely.
Or at least part of it.
Or at least big chunks of it, yeah.
But they're scrambling too, from what I've heard.
Well, yeah. And so then the question is, where does that leave consumers who are already getting, we've already seen memory prices quintuple, I think, at this point, or quadruple at this point in the last 60 days.
Depends on the kit, but yes.
Yeah, for like 64 gig kits are obvious. The high density stuff is more expensive than the low density, and DDR5 is going up more than DDR4 and other stuff. But yeah, it's a wild, it's kind of a wild situation. That the other thing that I thought was telling is that they didn't try to sell it, or maybe they tried to sell it and nobody was buying because the RAM market's in such a foobar state right now.
What do you mean?
Well, typically you have a brand that's 29 years old and you're like, oh, we don't want to do this anymore. Maybe we can unload this on somebody else. Okay. And
the thing to keep in mind, though, is that for consumer PCs, like, RAM is an absolute commodity. Like, you're getting charged whatever they're, like, 5% more than they cost to make it and get it to the shelf kind of a deal. Like, they call that commodity for a reason. It's very different in enterprise. So if it's that strong, I can totally understand Micron going, I don't want to be in this commodity market anymore. Like, if we oversaturate it now, we're just going to have to dump prices next year. I'm just taking my ball and going to I love PCWorld, but if someone offered me 3 times more money to go do the same thing, doing the exact same thing somewhere else, I'd probably take it.
I mean, on a personal level, I completely, it's completely justified. For me, the Crucial Micron relationship always felt like Micron sells a bunch of RAM to other system vendors and all of the integrated electronics that use RAM and all these other places. Like RAM is in everything at this point.
Yep. And
they've been making it for years. The pricing and there's a really well developed price curve that starts out high when the new technology is introduced, then it gradually goes down as yields and volume go up, and then it starts to go up again at the end when they stop making that particular variety of RAM, and it's like a pretty standard 5-year cycle. It's pretty much always the same until this AI stuff hit, and all of a sudden we saw mid cycle price spikes because between Oracle and Microsoft and Google and OpenAI and all these other places, they're building $1.2 trillion worth of data centers in the next few years is the capex, I think, is what I saw yesterday on data center growth in the US. So
that might be conservative.
Yeah. So again, for me, another interesting aspect to this was this idea that, as you said, they didn't look to sell the consumer side. They didn't look to exit in a more typical way. And to me, that was a signal that they thought that, to me, this signals that this is a long-term move for them. Like, they don't see it worth their while to even maintain the brand, right? Where they basically pause the brand, right? But this, to me, they're like, no, we don't want to have to employ the PR people, the marketing people, the engineers, whatever.
Not buying shelf space. Not buying all that stuff.
We just want to wholesale, nope, we're just going to redirect all those resources to enterprise, and spinning a business back up is definitely work. So to me, that implies that they think that this is one so profitable and maybe so long-term enough that it's worth it to them, that if they ever need to spin the business back up again down the road, they'll just cross that bridge when they get there, but they're not anticipating it being a priority anytime soon, which is concerning to me as a consumer, right?
Yeah.
That's I largely agree with you. I think that's why they didn't sell it. They want to have Crucial in their back pocket, so 2 years from now everything bursts, they can be like, hey, Crucial's back.
Well, and if Crucial was the way that they sold off the slack space in their manufacturing capacity. Mm-hmm. So they sell a certain amount contracted to Dell and all these other places that are selling RAM, and then buy RAM rather, and then they have 10% left over, and that goes into packaged sticks that they then sell to Micro Center and Amazon and Newegg and all system vendors and small like the place I think this hurts the most is like the small OEMs, right? So I think your Dells and HPs and Lenovo's are pretty insulated at least for the short term because they buy stuff way in advance. And they probably aren't paying these new inflated prices, at least on the machines they're selling today. They will be in the future. And I'm sure they're taking a nice profit on the increased RAM prices across the board in the meantime. But I think the thing that hurts is like your frameworks and your System 76s and your main gears and like all of these guys that are selling thousands of systems a month, but not hundreds of thousands of systems a month, right? Or tens of thousands of systems a month. And yeah, anyway.
I do wonder, so to go back to a point that was brought up just a little bit ago, I do wonder if, to Brad's point, if Dell and the large OEMs are going to start feeling a pinch just because, so here's the language. I have the press release up. So here's the language. Quote, the AI-driven growth in the data center has led to a surge in demand for memory and storage. Micron has made the difficult decision to exit the crucial consumer business in order to improve supply and support for our larger strategic customers in faster growing segments. So to me, that does not imply necessarily, I don't think they would necessarily cut off any large partners because it's still sort of enterprise focused, right? Like if you're HP, Dell, you're selling most of your laptops to other companies for the most part. But it doesn't sound, when they say faster growing segments, to me, that's where the language, where it gets, where you were talking about the kind of corporate dancey language, that to me is a coded thing for, especially given the context of the sentence where they talk about data center, they're basically saying we're going all in with our, data center customers because they just want so much of it.
Well, and they don't increase capacity is the other thing about the RAM vendors. Like they're really, really tactical or strategic, or depending on who you ask, like collusionary with how they increase capacity. So like, I wonder if we could see something really ridiculous like auctions where they're auctioning lots for RAM. If demand is so outpacing supply, that's what typically happens is then the price goes up until it meets people's willingness to pay. And like that's super grim. Like I hope everybody who wants 64 gigs of RAM has it.
Yeah. And
I was bummed that I never got in on the Bitcoin stuff because I figured I shouldn't mine Bitcoins with GPU since I'm a GPU reviewer. Disappointed about that, but now my retirement fund is all set because I got 128 gigs of DDR5.
There you go.
Where I have a friend who I offered to supply them with some parts, and part of me is like, do I give them the DDR4 RAM that I said I was going to?
Well, DDR4 is still kind of useless. Kind of value. Like, look, you can build a DDR4 system right now for what 64 gigs of DDR5 costs.
It's not nothing. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not nothing. And so going back to this whole conversation, someone in chat, I think it just got on my screen. So Samson7294 said, this is not that big of a deal because Kingston, G-Skill, whoever will just eat their market share. I think the problem, though, is that those manufacturers or those vendors are being supplied by the module makers. And so if Micron is committing their modules to enterprise, that means we've actually lost a source for those modules potentially, or at least it's going to be very, very, very small relative to before. And so we don't know what the contracts look like. We don't know which of their partners they're going to still, because they have said that they're going to still support their commercial customers. But as Brad was saying, we don't know what that looks like in terms of how the pie is going to get divided and who even gets to sit at the table to eat basically. And I think they're shuttering the brand in February officially. They will support the existing products that they've sold, but I feel like we'll start to see more how this shakes out going into maybe Q2 and beyond of next year. Right now, we don't have enough information. It's a lot of speculation. The bigger concern for me is that are we, how do I put this nicely? Are we hosed as consumers?
I like it's grim. Like I saw an article on PCWorld last week by one Michael Kreider, friend of the show.
Great site.
We know that site.
and it literally tells a story about RAM being so expensive that Samsung, which is one of the 3 manufacturers for RAM, won't sell their RAM to Samsung to put it in phones, which is like Samsung has a bazillion business units, and like I guess it's fundamentally good for the rest of us that Samsung's memory treats its other conglomerate buddies as the same way it treats every other business, but also damn.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a worse version of the chip shortages we saw during the pandemic, right? Because so much of everything we use now is basically running off of mini computers.
Yeah.
So a lot of things use RAM. So it's not just the PCs we're talking about. It is our phones. It's probably even like our cars.
The bits and billion.
So many things that we take for granted.
Routers, network switches, everything that lets our computers communicate with the internet, microwave ovens, smart refrigerator, like all of this stuff uses RAM, and like a lot of it's going to use older, slower, cheaper RAM. And I wonder if we're going to start seeing, like, the last time there was a huge RAM shortage of this kind of scale was in the 90s when there was an earthquake in Taiwan and it wiped out a lot of RAM manufacturers or shut them down for a long period of time. And the impacts of that, where we saw, like, I remember IBM was selling computers that had 8 SIM slots, right? So 8 slots for RAM, so they could put 8 1 megabyte chips in to get an 8 megabyte system instead of 2 4 megabyte chips, which is what they would have done before. And like, I think there's two downstream consequences that I see from this. One is that I think we're going to see a lot more 16 gig machines ship next year, because I think if we want to have prices that people are accustomed to.
16 or 8?
I don't think Windows 11 will run on 8 gigs in a way that anybody's gonna not return the machine.
It will if you just do stick to normal stuff, man.
That's a video, man. Let's see how many.
Here's the thing, though, Will. It's not that it would run well, but it's not going to stop vendors from potentially packaging the configs that way.
Well, they might, because they'll get returns.
They might.
They don't want returns.
But the thing is that everything's so expensive, then they're not going to have much of an option. If this is why I feel, this is kind of the doom and gloom cast today, right? Where it's just, I'm thinking, well, if your price point or your budget only allows you to go up to, say, $500 for a laptop, and the only config you can get is not a great one, what are your options then? Obviously used. Yeah. But similar to the pandemic, the used market got really crazy for cars for a while. Yeah. Right? Because
still is.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The other thing I wonder is the other thing is I don't think you can do a Copilot Plus PC that's at less than 16 gigs. I think that's part of their requirement.
That's true. That is true.
That would be actually wonderfully ironic that all this causes an inability for people to actually use the very services that the companies want us to buy into.
Well, so go ahead, Will.
I was gonna say, a friend of the show, Falcon Northwest, is in the chat right now with us, saying that we should ask AI what it thinks we should do now. So
that's how we got in this problem, Kelt. Don't ask AI. The other thing I wonder is if there's if Microsoft is smart, and I think we all know where I stand on Microsoft these days, but if Microsoft is smart, right now they would have hey, how do we make Windows 11 use less RAM task force going? Because I think, you look at what Apple was shipping 8 gigabyte Macs until a year and a half ago or something like that. Like they've been conscious of memory usage for a really long time because it lets them make more money from the hardware they're selling. Whereas on Windows, Microsoft just lets the OS continue to bloat and bloat and bloat until all of a sudden we're looking at hey, man, 32 gigs just to make my laptop feel fast.
Yep.
And I wonder if we're going to see a situation where they start focusing on memory again as a hey, this is a thing we need to focus on for business reasons, because we're going to see machines shipping with 16 gigs, and God help us, I hope not 8 gigs.
There's that, and then as a friend of the show, Ruru2, points out in chat that this could be what extends AM4 yet even longer.
Oh,
another 2 years.
Look.
The goat, for real.
Look, hey, I spec'd out a 14700K machine for less than 64 gigs of DDR5.
You were still on that bandwagon.
I'm just saying, Raptor Lake Goat. That's best of the year is coming right around the corner here. Return of DDR4 on that list.
Oh my gosh, our prediction show is going to be wild.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be so sore from all the predictions that I got wrong, not predicting that this year would go this way. And then on top of that, I'm probably guaranteeing myself another year of tons of push-ups in 2026.
Yeah.
Get that workout.
I think next year is going to be rough. Like hosed, I think it is going to be rough. We said this coming up to Black Friday, but if you think you're going to need a computer in the next year, I would try to do it now.
Yeah.
If you can.
It's not going to be cheaper.
A lot of my friends have been asking me this question.
There are reports, like if you're a gamer, there's been reports that NVIDIA will no longer sell AIB partners, like the memory chips sometime coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's been confirmed, but that's been reported at several places.
Yeah, there's a rumor
And
for
if
that.
the individual AIBs have to start shipping for their own memory supply for graphics cards, those things are going to go crazy too.
Well, and that the reason they started selling the RAM with the chips was because the AIB partners were putting crappy RAM on their boards, and the boards were unstable and janky. So it's like a double whammy of bad.
I mean, for us as consumers, potentially, yes, 100%. Like, I actually wrote about this for the newsletter. And one of the things that I said was it doesn't benefit us as consumers to have that in a way democratized because as smaller vendors, they have less negotiating power than NVIDIA does as like a $1 trillion company, right? So if NVIDIA wants something, they can negotiate it in that much bulk.
Well, and they also get the benefit of negotiating those prices along with the data center RAM that they're putting into those racks and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So it's like it all gets bundled up into one giant $1 trillion company, $3 trillion company purchasing agreement. Anyway.
Yeah, I was talking about this with an acquaintance who is a decent chunk younger. And I said to him, it's like, I know you've only known a time where tech was plentiful and affordable. But, when you were tiny, computers used to cost like $2,500 or $3,000 new, and it barely could do office applications. And I really hope that we're not going to return to that.
I mean, look, we're spending a lot of money growing out this completely unproven technology that no one really likes very much, except for the CEOs and the C-suite suits. And in the process of doing that, we're going to drive up the cost on the tools that make every business in the country run. I don't know. I'm not an economist, but that seems dumb to me.
Speaking of economy and what bubbles and things like that. So our friend Steve Burke over at Gamers Nexus also did a video covering this. And one of the things that in his video that he brought up that I thought was a very, worthwhile point is that Micron actually is the beneficiary of taxpayer support.
All of these companies are, just to be clear.
Right, but this is a United States based company, so they definitely got funding. Well, I don't know what the right word is eluding me at the moment, but they have these grants that they were given, and I'm just thinking, why was taxpayer dollars given to these gigantic corporations without any language in there to benefit us, the taxpayers?
Go ahead, Brad.
Because at least during the whole 2008, 2009 financial meltdown, when we had to prop up all these banks that were, quote, too big to fail, we at least got some consumer protections in return, right? Like credit card terms got better. They had to be clear about certain things. Bank accounts had certain better protections put in. So at least we got something in exchange for that financial underwriting. But this, and as Steve rightly points out, this feels really bad because it's like, okay, so we paid to do all this to have all this happen?
I think it's a totally different situation, to be fair. Mm-hmm. This is not a bailout. This is not like the grants that they're getting from, I think it was the CHIPS Act. This is very different from all the banks failing. This was the U.S. government saying, hey, man, we want U.S. companies making U.S. technology. And we're, especially for the AI, we think that's the future. That's a clear priority for this administration. So we're just going to give Intel and TSMC and Micron and whoever money to make stuff here and go make as much money and be as awesome as you can. So I don't think there should have been anything in there that says you have to continue making consumer chips to get part of this money, because I don't think that was part of the intention for that money.
They don't care. Like the AI growth is more important because that's we're in a space race with everyone else in the world. It's like we got to be the first to the moon.
But who are we competing with outside of China?
Well, we're teaching Europe, I'm sure.
World.
Yeah, everybody else in the world, anybody who has a whole bunch of GPUs in a data center someplace, we got to be the first ones so that when we turn Skynet on, we're the last to die 6 minutes later instead of 3 minutes later.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I think that's very different. I'm not upset about it. I don't think that aspect of it. I don't think Micron's doing anything shady here. I think this is exactly like if you go talk to someone in the government who gave them that money and they said, yeah, now they're maximizing their dollars. They're going to be able to invest even more of their own money in the future, blah, blah, blah. I think they would consider this a win. And to be fair, I think crucial, as Will was saying, is really the slack in their manufacturing channel. I think they're still going to be making, all this data center stuff. They don't explicitly say it, but looking over that release that you cited from earlier, I think they will still probably be making, the large, like selling large shipments of NAND to the Dells and whatnot of the world. So I actually kind of agree with the commentator from earlier, the dude who's watching right now, who said it's not that big of a deal. Other ones will pick up slack. I think it's not quite that simple because Micron will be making less consumer NAND, but I think that's pretty much how it's going to work.
Well, because fundamentally, sorry. Fundamentally, they have a certain number of wafers they can make every year, right? Like that's the max amount of wafers, and those can be used for different things. My understanding is they can do NAND or RAM on the same lines, basically, right? Which is why Micron makes both. And as a result, they've traditionally shifted those balances between the places that are going to make them more money, which is that's good business. But I just worry that there's not other, the demand is going up so much and the supply is staying level. And that always ends up in a situation where the people buying the small amounts end up paying enormous premiums. So we may end up being back at the day of Elena's $2,500 starter PC because the RAM costs $600.
I absolutely agree.
So I found a report on reInvent Albany, which is a government watchdog site for the state of New York. They have an estimation of the total amount of government money, public funding that Micron has could potentially be in line for. This isn't actually what they've taken. This is what they could potentially get. So they could have gotten up to $5.5 billion in green chip state tax credits. So that's not money, but it's money they don't end up paying in taxes for building stuff in New York. $4.9 billion in sales and use tax abatements, including construction and building materials for building the fab there. $284 million in property tax abatements, up to $200 million in state money for roadway improvements that has gone up to $375 million from the initial start. Discounted electricity through the New York Power Authority's Recharge NY program, which could be worth up to $3 million more every year. And $180 million in other sundry benefits, including a $5 million facade grant for improvements to the on-site structure. So it's not like we're talking about an inconsequential. It's not like we're talking about $10 million, which for one of us is a lot of money, but for a company like Micron or a state is pretty inconsequential. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars in offset revenue that they're expecting to get from this. And I don't know. Almost certainly none of it.
I don't like it. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of it, they don't have, you have to keep selling RAM to consumers in there because it's not a part of the business that anybody cares about except for us.
I'm just saying, I also agree that there's not necessarily anything shady going on. I just see a deep, bitter irony in this idea that we as taxpayers who are consumers have basically paid for this outcome. Or have subsidized this outcomes, put that way.
Well, we subsidize all sorts of terrible outcomes as a people.
Yes, but this one just hits a little close to home for me.
Okay, fair.
Even though it's across the country.
I don't know. I wonder if we're going to see more people coming in making RAM as a result of this.
Yeah, same here. I wouldn't be surprised if we see competitors pop up.
I mean, it takes as we've talked about before, 3 years to spin up a fab. But also there's a bunch of 10 nanometer fabs around, and who knows? I think somebody in the chat said that a minute ago. Let's see. Ruruchu says, yeah, there's a bunch of 10 nanometer fabs. Why doesn't Intel or somebody else make that?
So with all this going on, is it, in some ways to say AI is here to stay? Like the bubble's not going to burst anytime soon if Micron is doing all this now.
I don't think any of us said that, Willis.
Yes.
Is that a fingers crossed statement, or is that a question to us?
That's just quite yeah. Some people like speculate if AI would burst. So it's like
I think the issue is that AI is such a broad term for what's happening, right? And then we in the consumer space have been sold nothing but this idea, this vision of things that include like LLM, like chatbots, and creating video that can, in their words, fulfill your creative vision, but effectively basically make it so that no one really trusts video anymore. And all this stuff that's not really beneficial to enhancing our lives, the quality of our lives, in my opinion. But there's all this other stuff that is useful. And we did touch on this, I think, even last week, where it's like, they're using, AI is really good at detecting patterns. So it is another way for them to kind of figure out, like, are there markers for cancer that we as humans haven't been able to pick up, but maybe these models can. I just spoke this weekend with someone it was a social situation, and they said, oh, I'm moving here soon to work, in AI. And I must have had a look on my face.
You rolled your eyes really hard.
No, I didn't do that, but I must have had a look on my face like, right? And they immediately said, I'm working on small language models. Like that was the first thing they said. And I was like, oh, okay. And I actually definitely warmed up after that. So this person has definitely been through this conversational cycle before. Apologies to my new acquaintance. And it's like stuff like that, where it's like if you're training on data that you can control, that is, high quality data, then yeah, AI probably has a really good use there, and you can use it again for like pattern recognition or like specific use cases. But there's so much slop that's kind of overriding this. So to your point, Willis, I think the bubble won't burst if they can actually make it successful in these applications that actually do enhance our lives. But if it ends up being just nothing but like, well, there's a dog on a cat's body in this video, I don't really see how that's sustainable. Like, who's going to pay for that as a service?
And the models that you're talking about, like the pattern recognition ones and the tumor detection and all that stuff, those are being trained on like dozens of GPUs in people's labs. They're not being trained, like, you don't need to build a 100 megawatt data center to train those. You need those, like, if you want to teach computers to lie, that takes hundreds and hundreds of megawatts. But if you want them to just pick out the things that are the same shape as all the other things and hard to find pictures, that's really easy. Anybody can do that.
Yeah. I'm actually glad you brought up that bit about the AI bubble not bursting, because that actually is the big question that makes all of this suck even worse as a PC enthusiast. Because like the problem right now is just the amount of investment, like business investment that's going on here. Like the OpenAI and the NVIDIAs and the Microsofts of the world are like basically playing shell games, moving money around like valuations and stuff, and using that to buy all this stuff to continue fueling that. And that's why everything's getting so expensive, and it sucks. And if AI does wind up, taking off and becoming this culture-changing thing that Silicon Valley currently thinks it will be worth it in the long run. But for right now, it's all being built on these valuation shell games that's making everything so much more expensive. Mm-hmm. And that is the reason we're stuck with Micron exiting the consumer business. And it hurts, it sucks, and it will hurt and suck even more if the bubble does pop and we went through all of this for nothing.
Well, and when you and I buy RAM, we buy it with money that's our money that we earned. And when OpenAI buys RAM, they're buying it with money that they borrowed from some sovereign wealth fund or an investment bank that if they don't pay back, they just write down and everybody's like, oh, well, whatever. Sometimes stuff doesn't work out, I guess. I don't know how that works. I need to get on that side of the business.
Yeah.
On that cheerful note, let's move on to our second topic, which is the idea that, old tech is new again. Question mark. Brad, do you want to field this one? Because part of it does have to do with phys-x return. I can't say the word.
Yeah, there's a couple different parts of it. Phys-x returning to RTX 50 is part of this conversation. I think it's a little bit different from the conversation we were just having, and we're probably going to have after this. But just in case people weren't aware, NVIDIA's RTX 50 cards, they came out. Everyone was shocked. Hey, phys-x doesn't work on this anymore.
Well, hold on. Hold on. That's an oversimplification.
Okay.
Wow.
Hardware accelerated 32-bit phys-x doesn't work anymore on these cards.
Correct.
Because there's a bazillion games that use software phys-x and have for years. Because
in CPU
a
phys-x,
free physics library. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Absolutely correct. So, that sucks because, if you want to go play Borderlands 2 on your new 50 series card and it chugs worse than your 10 series card did, nobody likes that. So last week, NVIDIA wound up putting out a driver for RTX 50 cards that include custom software-based profiles that don't add the hardware-based support, I think might have been. I was on vacation last week. But anyway, the upshot is 9 games now have custom support for phys-x instructions, and they were the big ones from the list, like Mafia or Mafia 2, the Metro games, the Batman Arkham Asylum games.
Yeah.
So
Mirror's Edge, I think, is the other one.
I was really surprised to see Alice Madness Returns on that list.
That's a good game.
I love that game, but I would not call it a big game in the same way as others on the list.
This is the bulk of the games that supported hardware accelerated phys-x, because there were never very many. They basically as soon as NVIDIA bought that, everybody stopped doing it, and we all just started using the free software model. And the other games that were on the list are things that are no longer playable for other reasons, like Auto Assault and MMOs of the era. So it's
actually went back. I found a list in the Reset Era forums that they compiled of as many phys-x GPU accelerated 32-bit phys-x games that they could, and there was 43 of them.
Wow.
And going through the list, a lot of them are ones like you're talking about. There's no reason to worry about this game anymore. So crossing these 9 off the list, I think will actually satisfy 95% of complaints about phys-x being gone from RTX.
As somebody who actually had a phys-x card in my machine for longer than I care to admit, the Mirror's Edge and the Batman Arkham Asylum were the 2 big ones. Because that Arkham Asylum, Batman's cloak with the phys-x stuff on it,
great,
real good. Other than that, probably fine.
Yeah. So that's the phys-x story. But I think we're also going to talk about, which kind of ties into what we were just talking about with crucial memory, AMD reviving some old motherboards.
Oh, is this the B650 thing?
Yeah, the chipset.
Yeah, I heard about this in Slack yesterday. So,
okay,
Elena, if you want to take it, or Brad, if you want to take it, that
Brad, do you want to
better.
take this away? My computer is lagging out.
Yeah, so AMD, when it first came out with the AM5 platform, the B650 chipset was the one that powered those motherboards on entry-level models. That got discontinued a while ago in favor of newer B, 850, I think we're up to now. So it's been, not being made for a while. Tom's Hardware has a report that got reported in leaks to the Chinese and Taiwanese board channels forums, which is where you can find a lot of scuttlebutt about what's happening on the ground at, all these component makers. And they're reporting that AMD is starting to spool back up B650 chipsets and having motherboard makers make those now to, potentially offset some of the rising costs of these motherboards and RAM prices and stuff like that. They're just trying as hard as they can to get prices back down, it sounds like.
So it's hey, your RAM is going to cost an insane amount of money, but at least your motherboard is $50 cheaper.
Something like that, yeah.
Oof.
And to me, this is the interesting part of old tech new again, because the phys-x is cool. I'm glad it works again. But to me, this ties into, we've talked about on here before, the last couple of generations, AMD has that decoder wheel, Intel's doing its tile-based stuff, and they're mixing in older CPUs for cost reasons. And now we're seeing these older motherboards get spooled back up. And rather than being completely hosed, as we were just talking about next year, I'm real curious to see if instead we see a resurgence of used and older chips and chipsets like this to try to fill in the blank for consumers.
I think that's very, very likely. I also think that doesn't necessarily keep us from calling it being at least slightly hosed. Right?
Totally agree.
Because it's like, well, okay, now we're just on older hardware paying at cost, previous at cost, or probably likely higher, even if it's used. And to me, that, like, I remember during the pandemic, I sold a Logitech 9000 webcam, which at that point was probably 10 years old. And I sold it for more than I actually paid for it new.
Wow.
Now I take care of my stuff, right? So it was actually very much like in like new condition. So it wasn't like I had like just thrown something beat up on there. But I had it as an auction, and people were just bidding that up. I didn't even put it that high because I didn't think it would go for that much because it was old. I was like, oh, this is a time where I can probably just get rid of it, you know, and at least get some money back for it. And I was like, oh wow, I sold it for more than I paid for it. And if that's the future for us next year, yes, having availability is good, right? It's just the idea that if we're paying as much or more for these older parts, especially if they're used, that sucks. I'm not into that idea.
Would you would you be against maybe, you know, GPUs and CPUs? Maybe not for the bleeding edge stuff, obviously, but just, you know, the more mainstream and budget stuff. Maybe even taking a step back or two on a node, like 7 nanometer GPUs, you know, 10 nanometer GPUs.
Wow. Let's not get crazy.
Yeah. Look. Is that crazy?
But are they going to release new 2080s next year? Is that what we're talking about?
Gosh.
For budget stuff. Well, yeah, for budget stuff at least.
That's what I mean. Like, I do wonder if we're actually going to see new AM4 chips because they, presumably, they could produce that cheaper.
DDR4 is still pretty cheap.
And there's a lot of people out there with DDR4 systems. So it could be one of those things where people are like, well, I just maybe want to hopefully some kind of performance boost from the CPU. But I want to be able to at least keep my motherboard and the RAM in place because then that makes it a lot cheaper for me to at least get some performance bump.
AMD doing these motherboards started my brain thinking down this track. Like, are we going to see more of this?
Well, I also wonder if we'll see. I wonder if we go the other way and we assume that the software needs to be more efficient than it has been in recent memory. Like if you look at a 9900K is a great example. It's a $500 chip from almost 10 years ago now. And like that computer should be fast enough to do I know, Brad, I'm sorry. That computer should be fast enough to do all your computing. It's 8 cores, you got 16 threads, you can put 32 gigs of RAM in that thing. And like, that's a real nice computer. And why are we upgrading? Why does that computer feel slow today? Oh, the OS has gotten slow and doing more, but is it actually doing more for us? Is it doing more for someone else?
I did wonder about this, and again, I touched on this in the newsletter. So hey, if you like hearing us talk about these kinds of things and thoughts in that vein, sign up for the newsletter. Information to come. Hey. I wondered that, you know, there's a couple outcomes that could, like, if assuming that they're going to be a little bit of an apocalypse around hardware, then I think that the best way forward, at least getting through it, is that we as consumers demand better software optimization. That if we can't afford to get the hardware, that we're not going to sign up for your services and everything becoming cloud computing, because I firmly believe that local hardware matters still. Mm-hmm. There's especially sitting where I do on the staff where it's convenient if you put your entire budget up there, if you put your, you know, everything up there. But is that really going to serve you well when, and I hate to put a fine point on this, but we all remember the LastPass issues with them getting breached more than once, and the vaults then getting decrypted because those attackers were looking for access to crypto wallets, right? And I mean, probably partially user thing where people use weak passwords to probably even secure their vaults, but also they were found out to have like low iterations on some of those vaults and it never got updated, so it made it easier to brute force, right? There's like a lot of stuff like that. So I have that in the back of my head when I'm thinking if everything you do basically runs in the cloud, how are you going to be able to control some of your information? Like maybe I don't want some of my photos up there.
This is the thing,
right? Even if it's not like racy or whatever, maybe there's just some really private things that I would prefer not to have.
What kind of pictures are you taking, Elena?
Well, so to answer your question seriously, like when my cat was on his, final days, like those are really sensitive photos for me. Just like I have a lot of emotion tied to those, and I don't necessarily. To someone else, it might not be a big deal, but I would feel really badly if someone stole those photos and just,
Well, even I don't want them showing up on my digital photo frame when it's like, hey, this day in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't want to see August 16th.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's a bad day.
And you can mark that out, but it's even still, it's just like some things like that where it's not necessarily societally important, right? That you keep it private. There's just some things as humans that emotionally it's just better for us to keep private, and it's nice to have control over that. So anyway, long story short from me, I really hope that we as consumers, if we find that we're in a hardware desert, that we get together and we vocally vote with our dollars and our feedback that we want more software optimization.
I think we vote with our torches and pitchforks.
As opposed to just sighing and accepting what's going on and not being able to change anything because we've paid the dollars or whatever your currency is, and the companies, that's all they care about at the end of the day. Revolt.
Yeah, this is funny timing because just today we read a story about Discord admitting that its app is a big bloated mess that has a memory leak that can get over 4 gigabytes sometimes. So they push out a fix to repair it, and the fix is if it goes over 1 gigabyte of memory and you haven't touched it in 30 minutes, then it'll just reset. It'll reboot the app and start it over.
Dude,
that's a bad fix. That's a bad fix, guys.
Dude, I have to do that with my. So I am browser crazy. I have at least 4 different browsers running on my system. I know I'm not normal, okay, but in part due to my
browsers.
Well, in part for my job because I like being aware of how these browsers operate, and 2, it's informal sandboxing. Like very informal, I
have all the major ones. Do you have them open at the same time? That's my question. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, not all of them, but I usually have at least 3 open at the same time, and I have to do that every so often where Chrome starts to bloat or Firefox starts to bloat, and I have to just close it and then reopen it, and then it's fine again. Right.
You all need to learn about container tabs. All the browsers support them now. You can just set them all up, and then you don't have to do this 25 browser thing. Adam's always over here talking about Edge, and I can't even.
So.
Oh, we're crackling again, apparently, Willis.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a bummer. But yeah, last night or this morning when I was getting ready for work about how online security, because so you don't want to deal with an app like that's bloating, then you go to your browser, right? I use Discord. I have Discord open in a browser tab because I don't want to deal with that bloat, and also I don't necessarily need all the integrations and tie-ins because I think that contributes to the bloat. But they're saying that because everything is getting driven towards browsers, that has become a huge surface for attack now. And it's not nearly secured the way it probably needs to be. So between not even just browser extensions, but obviously that's one vector for attack. But I'm wondering now, are attacks going to get more sophisticated about communication between the client and the server, and passkeys, for example, love them, they work really well. But a thing that I've heard most often when I'm talking to all the experts on this is that passkeys work when they're implemented correctly by the websites. Well, yeah. And the websites are the ones that are implementing it. It's not the FIDO Alliance set the standard, but they're not maintaining the implementations of any of this. It's just here's your standard, here's how to do it, and then the website operator has to go and implement it. So basically, as things get more pushed towards this, it's no different than why are there so many more pieces of malware on Windows. It's because that's where everyone is relative to the other operating systems, right? And once people started adopting Mac OS in greater number again, when Apple kind of had its revival, we started seeing viruses appear on MacBooks and iMacs and all that, where they say, oh, we don't get viruses. It's no, you were just obscure long enough that people didn't invest their time into that because it didn't pay off the same way.
So this is why 2026 is going to be the year of Linux.
So, I mean, it's kind of a catch-22 though, right? Because you want it to become a bigger group, but once you do, then that's when the crappy part starts happening.
Yeah.
Just to get back to the original topic, I think, no, I don't have anything to add to that. That was well said. I think that if we do enter a period where PCs are just dramatically overpriced for everything but work uses over the next couple of years, I would love for developers to make optimizing their apps a focus, because on my work laptop up here, I have a vPro Core i7, I think 16 gigabytes of RAM, and just having Teams and Chrome open is enough to make it choke sometimes, much less other things. If I add anything else, it starts to freak out. That comment you made earlier about Microsoft should have a red team, or not a red team, that's a security phase, but a Go team trying to get 16, optimize Windows really well. The more that I think about this, Microsoft is part of the reason that all this money is getting funneled into data centers and consumer stuff is getting so expensive. So I think they really do have a moral, they should be doing that and evangelizing this to developers in the near future.
Well, and honestly, if they don't get on this program early, they're going to be in a market losing position, because OS 10 runs great on 16 gigs of RAM. Probably they could get back down to 8 if they really needed to work on it. The iOS stuff runs on low RAM. Android runs on low RAM. Linux runs on low RAM. Chrome OS runs on low RAM. The only thing that's like, hey man, to have a great experience, you need 32 gigs is Windows. When you're just talking about browsing and maybe an app or two.
Yeah, and it's wild too, right? Because honestly, I have no real reason to be on Windows. For the amount of browsing, the only reason for me to be on Windows is
One of us.
is because it's a desktop experience that I know and I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
And it supports more browsers than Chrome OS.
Mm-hmm. We can add a third seat to the dual boot diaries. You're right there. I'm hearing the words in my ear. I think the thing that worries me is that this is the high watermark. Right. Mm-hmm. If the investment in AI stuff, because the thing about the AI investment is it's not like this is a one-time investment of they're going to spend $2 trillion on this stuff. And then they're like, okay, well, we got those data centers, but we never have to do that again. No, they're going to keep putting faster and faster GPUs and using more and more power and using bigger and bigger data centers. And eventually the ones that we're building this year will be the old out of date ones that everything gets ripped out of. And they put a new generation of slightly newer stuff in. And like if 64 gigs is the most RAM we're ever going to see in consumer systems, because it'll be financially unattainable, and 32 gig GPUs are as big as we're ever going to get. Like we're moving the democratized technology platform of the PC away from something that consumers can actually build and into something that's only accessible via cloud rental services or whatever. And that to me is the real scary part of this, right? Because is Crucial leaving the RAM market, not to go back to the first topic, but is Crucial leaving the RAM market the bellwether for NVIDIA, saying, oh, well, we don't actually need the 8% of revenue or 10% of revenue that consumer GPUs make, and then leaving that market, and Intel saying, oh, we're only going to sell data center parts from here on out. And then pretty soon we're looking at PCs that are all look like laptops and don't do the things
all
we want PCs
now
to
all
do.
the time.
Yeah. I also wonder if that ends up opening up basically hand-me-down, so to speak, like enterprise hardware, that the consumer market goes away, but then consumers are just basically vying for used enterprise scraps.
You see that in the home lab space a lot, because like there is no real home lab consumer market aside from like the B-Links and the little guys that sell those small end processor machines. But you see like Lenovo, people buy those little Lenovo microservers and Dell microservers and stuff like that for home lab off the used enterprise market.
Yeah, I just wonder if that's going to become more of a thing.
It kind of mirrors the William Gibson. Like if you read like Neuromancer and the first couple of William Gibson books from the early 80s, when computers cost $5,000 or $10,000 still, a lot of the picture he painted of the future was, oh, look, the people who are into the kids who are into computers are dumpster diving and stealing parts off of old boards and soldering their own stuff together, which was the thing you could do back then because the parts were big and we could all make pretty simple breadboards, and it's just not feasible in the modern context.
I think Secure Boot would have an issue with that.
Look, you just flip secure boot off, man. You don't need
I
that.
know.
It's a Microsoft thing. I don't want Microsoft to sign my Linux boot keys, Brad.
I do not underestimate the power of young people to hack their way through things. So I do think there's going to be it is going to be very interesting because we've had this kind of like, I don't know which way the curve would go, if it goes up and down or just down as a dip, but like in terms of generational knowledge when it comes to hardware, anecdotally, things that I've heard, things that I've seen, it seems that like there's like the generation before us that is partially still not as familiar with technology. Then there's like Gen X and the millennials where we have seen all of this progression, so we kind of know all of it front to back in a way. And then we have these younger generations that don't know what a file tree is or what the save icon really stands for, and how to do some really basic things. And they're actually they're almost parallel to their grandparents in terms of like tech savviness. Like they know how to make them do things. They don't necessarily know the underlying principles for certain things. And I'm not saying it's the whole generation, obviously. Yeah. But it is interesting to me to see that, and I kind of wonder how this will influence the absolute youngest generations.
I wonder if we'll look at this the way we look at like 70s Land Cruiser, like 70s American cars that are like an Oldsmobile Rocket 88 that weighs 10,000 pounds and has a 355, a giant gas motor in it, and like the kids are like, man, I don't need your 16 cores. I'm running everything on a Raspberry Pi 7, and that's more than enough computer for me.
Was it those little like tiny Toyota hatchbacks that became so popular?
Yeah. We're moving toward the Pinto era of computer design.
We don't want the fires though, man.
Look, fires were exciting. Made driving on the freeway much more exciting. You never know, somebody's gonna rear end you, might just explode.
No.
It has had a different tinge to things.
Yeah. It makes you look. You need to savor every moment of life, and nothing does that like driving around in an absolute fire trap all the time. You don't remember this.
That is actually before my time.
Yeah.
I know the cultural reference, but I thankfully it was not of driving age when they were still on the road.
There were friends when I was in elementary school that I wasn't allowed to ride with because their parents drove either a Pinto or one guy had a Corvair, like one of the only remaining Corvairs, which they would just, I think, spontaneously explode for no apparent reason. I can't remember.
What?
But yeah.
For all the kids listening, think of them like the Galaxy Note. You couldn't take that on an airplane. Take that.
Yeah, same thing.
Brad, what a reference.
Look, one time, Brad, I got the extended security because they asked me if I was carrying any phones in my bag when I checked the bag, and I was like, oh, nothing. It's just like 7 Galaxy Notes in there. And I was like, I'm joking. I'm joking.
No, you do not make jokes at border crossings.
No,
you do not make jokes at border crossings.
The SFO check-in. And I was just like, look, I didn't say there was a bomb. I just said there were things that could potentially be bombs.
No.
Which, when I made that distinction, they didn't think that was funny either.
Sir, step aside, please.
Yeah, so I got the full cavity search and everything almost. It was
surprised
bad.
you're getting a random check.
Yeah.
Do not make jokes at border patrol.
Yeah.
You never. Like, even the Canadians, like one of the most affable groups on the planet until we made them angry.
Until we made them our enemies.
Really angry.
Yeah.
But before then, like, even their border patrol, you don't make jokes with them. You don't.
No.
The
Mounties are very nice, though.
But they're not border patrol.
Yeah. Yeah. Sir, we're going to have to ask you to come over here. Here's some pancakes while we wait and interview your family one person at a time.
Ooh. Yeah. No jokes.
Oh.
But yeah, the prediction episode should be fun next year. Here's the vibe I'm getting from this talk today.
Seeds. Buy seeds.
Because think about it. Last year, in December 2024, who would have predicted was it Cascade? I'm not sure which word I really want, of tariffs that went into effect. The fact that Crucial just got the axe. What else has happened? There's so much that's already happened this year. And
it's hard to say.
I know. Yeah. Like we couldn't have predicted. We couldn't predict a lot of this stuff.
I feel like I went 10 for 10.
I don't keep track of predictions. I like to be surprised and not even remember what I talked about come the big day. And I'm terrified.
I'll admit.
I'm going to be sore from all the push-ups I'm doing because I'm sure I predicted some kind of like CPU launch. Like we didn't really have any major CPU launches this year, not for desktop. So it's like, oh no.
I'll be honest. I went back after last week's or week before last and went and looked.
No.
But I couldn't remember. No. I couldn't remember where I sent them, so I couldn't find them.
Good.
Yeah. I'm hosed. Oh, what else we got? Are we done? Have we reached the end of like?
I feel like we've been nothing but rays of sunshine the last few weeks. So, whew.
We do have Super Chat enabled again.
We have Super Chats again.
Super Chats.
Wow, it's been a long time.
We actually got, I know. I think we finally got, Adam got everything fixed. So thank you, Adam, for doing that. Super Chat is back. We got a $5 Super Chat from friend of the show, VC Jester. Thank you so much. A silver lining in 200 years or generations. All this talk about, Crucial and old tech being new again. It'll be in the economics textbooks.
I really like that optimism. Like the idea that there will be economic textbooks in 200 years is like that's you're way ahead of me, VC Jester.
Yeah, right. And then also VC Jester, $10 super chat. Thank you. In the future, will we need to subscribe to cloud computing to have enough processing power to deal with Microsoft training its LLM to collect my collections of PDF manuals?
Oh. Do any of you pay for cloud AI stuff now? Are you getting free Copilot credits or anything?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, me either.
We have a Chat GPT Pro through work, so I could use that if I need to, but I don't need for anything outside of work.
It is very. It is kind of a weird seat to be in right now, especially covering technology as a I guess a journalist, right? Where part of me thinks like in order to stay current, I should be using all of this, but at the same time, on a personal level, it's like, well, if I'm using this, I'm contributing to the uses of like natural resources and all that other stuff. So for me, it's a bit of a tight space to be in. So like Brad, I just kind of use the work provided tools. And I'm not really actively using it in my personal life, although I will say, and Brad has encouraged me to do this, but I kind of want to rant about services that I subscribed for, and now I'm paying money, and they are using my data to train AI for their product, and I don't want that.
Did you get a kickback for that though, right? Hey, I just want to say, as of Black Friday, I have been a partaker of the Adobe Black Friday deal for about the last 12, 15 years, something like that. I didn't re-up this year. I didn't make the call. I'm clean. No Adobe products in my house anymore.
What are you going to use?
I'm using Affinity on Windows and Learning Studio. I've been using DaVinci Resolve for a long time for video. Video and audio is mostly what I do. So I do Reaper with, I've been working on making Reaper work the way I want Audition to work, and with a little bit of Audacity where it doesn't work. And then DaVinci Resolve is fantastic. It's an incredible program. And I might actually switch to using it for the audio processing because it's really, really good at that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I sincerely hope that your Affinity desktop app continues to work for a while longer.
So if the thing I realized, because the Photoshop was the part that is a problem. Working with game studios, often people use big giant PSDs as like their templates for all of their like marketing, like all of the million little images you need to make for Steam and stuff like that. If I'm in a situation where I need that, I'm going to make their studio pay for it. So, they can just pay the monthly rate for my seat.
There you go.
Or, but Affinity's great. I know they just got bought and they're being shitified. Sorry, Adam, wherever you are. There's other options as well. Like I've used, there's a bazillion 2D photo touch-up tools that I can use.
Yeah. Mike Kreider, our colleague, he's been using Photop, which is a web-based Photoshop clone. You might want to give that a shot, see how you like it.
I don't like web-based tools like that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I just saying.
I like something. So I use Inkscape for vector stuff, which is really good because most of my vector work is for laser cutting. And there's something else I've learned how to use GIMP for 2D raster image editing, but I dramatically prefer Affinity.
Because that program is a little, definitely, how do I put this?
It's way better now than it was even like 2 years ago.
That's fair. I'm just saying it definitely has the feel of open source software.
It is in many ways the most open source of all the open source tools. Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
I appreciate its existence. it's just a little bit esoteric to dig into sometimes.
It is. Yeah. It is not made. It is made for people who use GIMP, not people who have photo edited with literally any piece of software ever.
Yes, that is a very good take on that. Very good summary of that. Willis, how are we looking? I heard that there's potentially some audio issues again.
All fixed again.
Okay.
I'm continuously feeding the hamster.
I was going to say, do we not feed the hamsters before the show? Are they rioting?
Well, we actually need to change
They heard
the
what
wheels
Will's going to do to them after the show.
Yeah. No. Look, I got some.
I'm not going to pull the Homer Simpsons. Why, you little?
Hey, hamsters.
No.
How you doing?
Oh, no.
Well,
Oh, no.
don't touch the hamster.
They're delicious.
Oh, dear.
You roast them up.
Well, so on a maybe more cheerful note before we transition to viewer and listener questions, the next 2 weeks are kind of fun episodes, so we'll have a little bit of break from the gloom and doom, hopefully. Next week is our best of 2025 show, and then the one after that will be our prediction show, where we see how well we did on last year's predictions, and then we offer up a prayer to the gods and goddesses and all that in the universe to see how well we do for 2026.
I have to figure out what I don't have punishment. I don't have a punishment because this is my first time that I've had to deal with my
Well, you can just do the traditional eating your words, where we just give you some paper and pen and you just eat your words. Brad goes traditional. I am a delicate flower, so I decided that I didn't want to deal with stomach issues for the week after,
no, that
and
sounds
so
bad.
I just do push-ups as my was it contrition?
What if I
Fancy
just
words today.
sit here and think really hard about the way I failed the audience and each of you individually?
No,
No,
That's
because
not enough?
you're not. No,
Okay.
no. Like Willis and I grew up in environments where that was just like base standards,
Yeah.
table stakes. So it's not sufficient suffering.
generational trauma.
I mean,
I actually have a bottle of Da Bomb hot sauce, the one they use that makes everybody
Jesus.
freak out on hot ones. So I'm thinking of adding that to my mix this year.
Oh.
you'll feel
Brad
that
has a
for
stronger
days.
stomach for sure.
It
in many
tastes
ways.
like rust that will kill you.
I might eat something spicy. Maybe I'll bring something spicy in.
Hey, didn't you, Will and Adam, you guys went to Phoenix. You guys Adam brought back scorpion candies. You can
That's
eat those.
true. I think it'd take too long though, and also I'm not going to eat a scorpion.
For
candy
every
if
lick,
I'm
get to
being
the
real.
core of the scorpion.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Look, you just have to stop before you get
Worst
to the pointy
riff
bits.
on a Tootsie Roll commercial.
Yeah. So anyway, if people have suggestions, put them in the feedback channel for the show.
Elena, if you're gonna, do you plan to be here in the office? Should I set up the push-up cam for you?
Oh, for that one, yes.
Okay.
Yes, I will
got
be
you.
here. There will be proof.
All
But I think I've said this already on like the last few shows, that I've been preemptively working out just so that I don't embarrass myself by pooping out too soon. Because I was like, oh no, this year I bet like pretty much all my predictions are wrong. That's probably going to be easily like 100 push-ups. I better. I'm not One Punch Man, so I need to start building my stamina now.
What you can do is pinky push-ups.
Oh,
no.
No. Where was that scene from? Was it Everything Everywhere All at Once with Michelle Yeoh doing that?
Spoilers. Great movie.
That's
Great
a fun movie.
It is.
Spoilers.
It is.
I'll just eat a hot dog for everything I get wrong. The first one, that's a
I
reward.
love that.
But the fifth one, that's a punishment wiener.
I love that.
I gotta see. I gotta.
That is another quote.
What, punishment wiener? I gotta suss out how many wrongs I have before I commit to the hot dog bit, because like I could actually blow out the blood pressure and have real long lasting healthy repercussions for eating 6 or 7 hot dogs.
If you're into that, man, I would join you with that.
Oh, you'd go down the hot dog hole?
I'd go down with you. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
And I would add some Da Bomb to it.
Beep.
There's nothing wrong with the hot dog hole. Adam's scream somewhere in New York. Adam's like, no, they're ruining the show.
You can feel there's a disturbance.
Like a
in the
cold
floor.
shiver just went down the back of his neck, and he's like, "Oh God, why am I getting?"
Oh
the
no,
cold
what have they
sweats?"
done?
Yeah,
What have they done?
what did Elena do? She's not keeping it on the rails enough.
This is what happens when you leave me in charge.
We
dude.
said, Adam and I were talking the other day, and we were like, "Hey, every podcast needs somebody to keep the show on the rails and somebody to knock the show off the rails." And it's like Law and Order. You find the balance between those two things, and that's anyway. So I'm here to do my part.
hilariously, I think actually a lot of times, especially during our prediction or like definitely hardware Hall of Fame. I am the chaos gremlin until this year. I haven't forgotten. The North remembers.
What are you talking about? 1080 is a totally valid choice for that category. Retro Sean 199, friend of the show, suggested we should eat that Dutch hard salty licorice, the stuff with the ammonium nitrate on the outside.
Ew, what's that?
Oh, it's so good. But also, if you eat too much of it, it gives you heart palpitations, which that's a hard pass for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll pass as well. I'll stick with the hot dogs with the bomb.
Yeah, spicy hot dogs.
All right, one super chat from Evil Cuddy Productions, friend of the show.
Hey,
Hi.
long time no hear from.
Yeah, been a minute. $10 super chat. Thank you so much. I miss you guys. Been working like crazy producing the Las Vegas 2025 NFR right now. It's insane. Glad to see you guys still going strong. Long live the full nerds. And I think I looked up NFR. It's the National Finals Rodeo.
Oh, cool.
In Las Vegas. So, yeah, hope it's treating you well. Yeah. Okay.
That is a fantastic reason to not tune in for a while. I'll allow it.
Yeah.
You'll allow it. I love that.
You guys ready for a Q&A?
Yeah, let's move on to Q&A. I can't.
You're trying to log into.
I know I can't seem to
Discord?
get Discord, so I'm going to do this off of my phone. I'm going to go with a thematically relevant question. So this comes from Alexandrite on Discord. And by the way, we do, for newer listeners, we have a Discord server for the Full Nerd. It is full of like super chill, really awesome, laid back nerds. Come and join us. We have great conversations. Question is, or two questions, saying, hearing you guys really bummed out about the RAM. So two questions. First, forward looking, could the PC market have called this and encouraged people to buy a RAM while it's cheap last year? What problems looking forward 2 years from now should we be telling people who are looking to build PCs that they should pay attention to when looking for sales?
Power consumption is the one I would say.
Power consumption.
I'm serious.
Like in the sense like that, like when you stock up on toilet paper so you don't have to go to Costco again for like 4 months?
Like in the sense that our power bills are going to go way up in the next 2 years if we keep building data centers at the rate we are without building additional power generation capacity.
Yeah.
So, like, are you going to want to play when you don't want to be in a situation where you're looking at your awesome desktop PC with a 4K OLED and a giant video card and all this stuff and being like, oh man, I don't want to play this game on that because it costs $4 an hour to run this thing, where I could just play on my Steam Deck and have the crappy smooth 40 experience of the same game.
Yeah. I actually moved to this when, so in San Francisco, we have probably some of the highest rates in the nation.
It used to be really cheap when I moved here 20 years ago. Weird.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, some stuff happened. Yeah.
Yeah, we're close to, I pay close to like 50 cents per kilowatt hour.
We're 77 cents per kilowatt hour.
Pacifica's
delivered.
That high?
Delivered.
Yeah, I'm talking about delivered.
So it's because the transmission in the suburbs is more expensive because there's still fewer people using the wires.
Whoa.
Yeah,
I had
it's
no
great,
idea.
isn't it?
70, like that's like
during
Europe
peak.
rates.
So during off peak, it's like 33 because we have an EV and we get a lower rate during off peak.
I actually do metered. I don't do time of day because so what I did was like, so when this happened a couple of years ago, I actually switched to a mini PC. Specifically because of that, because I was like, most of my day I'm just basically doing laptop worthy work, but I don't really need a laptop and I wouldn't want to burn out its battery having it docked all day anyway, so I may as well just get laptop parts in a desktop kind of power situation. And I hooked, so Gordon, part of Gordon's legacy that I picked up on is his love for WhatsApp meters. And so I have a WhatsApp meter at home and I have it plugged in. And I got to tell you, there is something deeply satisfying about seeing my ultra wide monitor plugged in there. And I think my side monitor too, as well as the mini PC, and just seeing it run at like an average of 65 watts to maybe like 70.
Your monitors and everything?
I think so. Like, it's great, man. It is very satisfying. My power bill is great. And then I only turn on a gaming PC when I actually want to game.
I have a Home Assistant dashboard that tracks my power usage on my desktop PC.
Ooh,
right now, because something's charging on the port that's plugged into it, it's drawing 9.5 watts, even though it's off. But yeah.
Man, I can tell y'all really do have higher electric bills out there than I have.
It's expensive.
Super expensive out here.
I have no idea how much I pay
That's what most people
hours.
say. I had a friend in SoCal, Southern California, look up his bill because I asked him, I was like, you're in a major metro too. Like, are you paying our rates? And apparently no.
No. We're paying because PG&E burned down a couple of small towns and also Enron. Like PG&E had to pay $10 billion because they burned down and killed a whole bunch of people in those fires in 2020 and 2021. And because they didn't maintain their lines for a really long time.
The Paradise Fire up in Chico?
Yep.
Yeah.
And who foots the bill? Yep. Consumers.
Yeah, it's not the shareholders. The shareholders are doing great. Not bitter. Hashtag not bitter.
So it sounds like you guys are recommending maybe power efficient stuff if you're thinking ahead. When you said power, I was thinking actually power supplies.
Oh.
Like if we wind up, all the reports right now say motherboard sales are down 50% year on year because of RAM prices over the last month, Black Holiday week. So if people are buying fewer PCs over the next year or two, if this RAM shortage continues, again, it's the same kind of thing as with RAM and NAND. Like they need that in they need that in data centers. They need power in data centers as well. It's typically very different. It's handled very, very different. But I would be worried that prices may spike on power supplies as well in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I think that's a general. Like if RAM prices go up, that fewer people are working in the DIY pool in general, then the demand for DIY components is going to go down and the supply is going to go up, which means we'll probably see price decreases on stuff that's not directly affected at first, followed by reduction in supply as people spool down the number of cases and power supplies and all those things that they manufacture. So like it could be, we could look back on 2018 and be like, man, remember when the PC market was just jacked up by all that crypto stuff? Those were good times, guys. I'm in a real optimistic mood.
Rosy outlook.
But like the bubble very well may burst. It doesn't seem likely to happen in the next month or two, especially with all this kind of money, but the bubble very well may burst. So the people didn't we talk to people in the industry all the time. Nobody was super duper worried about RAM until all of a sudden everyone's like, oh crap, we need to worry about RAM. I think it's just going to be seat of our pants. I don't have any concrete advice to what could happen 2 years down the line.
I wonder, like the thing I wonder is if we're getting to the threshold where the stuff when it finally does go is going to be too big to fail. And we'll all be paying for it with our taxes in forms of a giant bailout for teaching computers to lie.
Earlier comment about actual restrictions on the bailout money would apply then.
It's not going to happen.
Probably not.
No.
Not given the current environment. At least we have some protections for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, like the thing that Brad said earlier holds. If you think you're going to need a computer in the next year or two, there's not going to be a better time to buy it than right now.
Yes, and it's actually hard. Like this is a bit of a tangent on this question, but I would say it's actually a more difficult question than I feel like I would have anticipated given the questions I've gotten from some friends, right? Because I have actually quite a few friends who are in this kind of like in-between space where their machines are like maybe 3 to 4 years old already. They're not necessarily doing a ton on it, but they want to feel like they have some legs still so that I have a friend specifically who said, well, I've got an older system. It's only got integrated graphics, but I do try to play roguelites on it. I was like, well, how much do you care about your gaming? Because if you don't care that much about your gaming, your system should last you another 3 to 4 years fine, just doing basic office work and, web browsing. But if you
streaming Netflix, checking email, you don't need a lot.
But if you really love trying to play on integrated graphics,
look, let me introduce you to just get them real into Dwarf Fortress, okay? And then Dwarf Fortress is a game they can play Brad agrees. Dwarf Fortress is a game they can play for the rest of their lives, and it's ASCII graphics. I think they might have Unicode characters now, but
not in your head. They're not.
Yeah,
on Steam they have graphics, but the original one.
Yeah. Man, I will mention that to him.
Yeah, it's the ultimate roguelite.
But yeah, I've had other friends. I had one who just went out and bought a new laptop because he decided, hey, mine's about 5 to 6 years old. It's working okay, but I think I'd rather have the insurance that if it does take a crap, then I don't have to worry so much about what's coming down the pipeline in the next couple of years.
Never have I been more happy that I bought an extra 32 gig RAM kit when I did.
You know, you keep talking so much about how much RAM you have, Will. I feel like I feel like you might be treading into like braggart territory.
I'm not like Smog sitting on a pile of RAM every time I go home.
Are you calling it your precious?
Laying on the pile of RAM either. I just put them underneath the mattress. It's like in there with my cash savings, $37.
Sorry, Smog is a dragon. Smeagol is the
Start flipping RAM chips to waiters as a tip.
Yeah. Hey, here you go.
Wow.
8 gigs. Thanks for the good service.
All right, second half of the question, and it's funny because I only saw it now, and it says, "Anyway, serious question."
Oh. Whoops.
The one thing I keep thinking of. Is that there are 7 RAM producers in the world and 4 of them are relevant. Also did some research that in the past 30 years, there was close to 15 to 20, including major players like IBM, Intel, and Texas Instruments. If Kioxia or Intel wanted to get back into RAM, they already have several major projects that are RAM adjacent. So here's the question. How expensive does RAM have to get before these other players decide to invest in capital and pump out the chips?
I think they have to all be waiting to see if the bubble pops before they do anything that's going to require a lot of capital to rejigger.
It is an interesting question, especially for Intel, though, considering they've been looking to fill up their lines. They're trying to get customers and stuff. RAM is a commodity part. I don't think they'd be in a rush to get into it. But if they think that for the next 2 or 3 years, instead of a commodity part, it's going to be a premium part, like that might be a good way to get their lines going.
Yep. We have a super chat.
Oh, do you want to read it?
I can read it.
Go for it.
Evocative Productions. Thanks.
Evocati. Is that how you
pronounce it? Evocati Productions. Thanks. Sorry. Thanks for the $10 super chat. The question you said that you heard that NV Energy Power Utility in Vegas is going to charge a demand energy charge for residential customers. We are a pilot program, and if it's allowed to happen, other utilities will follow. I don't know what that.
That sounds like actually how we are structured already.
It sounds like the surge pricing.
It actually,
not the surge pricing, but
it sounds like maybe you can weigh in to clarify about how Vegas's program will work. But that actually sounds similar to one of the options we have as PG&E customers here, which is you can go by your just strict usage, which is like metered. That's what I'm on, right? So I just watch because I don't like thinking about what time of day it is. Like if I want to like throw in a little laundry at lunchtime, I'm just going to do that, you know.
Wow, you're rolling heavy.
Or if I want to do it at like 8 p.m., I want to do it then because that's when it occurs to me to do it. So I'd rather just watch like my overall usage. Yeah. Whereas the other option is time of day. So it's like basically if you are doing things like charging your car, using your dishwasher, running laundry during like these peak hours, there is basically a higher charge, which I don't know if you really consider a surcharge. Yeah, but it's much more expensive, and it's to encourage people to do things like their laundry at 10 a.m.
So for us, when we got the EV, we had to switch to time of day. Just because that's what all the EV plans are. And the benefit is that from midnight to 3 p.m.
3 p.m. or 3 a.m.?
3 p.m.
Oh, nice. It's a pretty long window.
Yeah, it's a long window. We pay basically half price of the peak price for power and delivery. From 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., we pay peak price, which is the highest, which is like, if you think about it, it's like during the air conditioning window in the afternoon when it's hottest and factory time. And then when everybody's sitting around watching TV at home and cooking dinner and all that stuff. And then from 10 p.m. to midnight, it's like off peak, which who cares? It's like it splits the difference basically.
Pretty bad.
So we have a follow up from Evocati already. This sounds actually pretty awful. So we won't be given a choice. We will still be charged for our usage. Plus, they take the highest 15 minutes of usage and then multiply it by 4 and add a charge based on that. It is so screwed.
So that sounds like the way PG&E used to do it for suburbia, at least.
Really?
Was we would pay you for the average for your area. you would pay X amount per unit of light per kilowatt hour. And then once you got above that average number, then they charge you a higher rate. And then once you got 10 percentile points above that, you charged a higher rate.
I remember that.
And 10 percentile points above that, you're paying like $1 per kilowatt hour.
Did they do away with that? I thought that was option still.
Well, I think it's still one of the options. It's not for EV people, but it's completely bunk because they didn't price it based on the number of people that live in the house
what I'm on.
or the square footage.
Oh, okay.
So like if you're a single person living in an apartment, it's a great deal for you because you're never going to go over the average of a 4-person family living in the same kind of apartment as you.
Because I think that's one of the reasons why like we got together and looked at usage, right? And it's like we can keep it under a certain amount, so the metered plan makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, like once you start tripping these like different tiers, it gets like progressively much more expensive.
Well, and like as a person who had some computers living in a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house with 3 people, we use a lot more electricity than the retiree across the street who sits in the dark and just watches Price is Right from 11 until noon every day. And like, I say it with love, she's a wonderful person, but like her power usage is really low. And ours is like we play games and have big TVs and all that stuff. And like, it absolutely stunk. It was completely inequitable. And anyway.
This all sounds absolutely insane to me.
It is insane. It is absolutely insane.
For me, like up here in New Hampshire, they have to get rate increases approved by the government first.
Oh, it's almost
they're locked in for 6 or 12 months, and it's hey, here's how much it is for the next 6 or 12 months, and then
that sounds nice.
Yeah, Evocati Productions also
like what you're saying. Just this sounds like a dystopian catch-22 like.
Well,
this is why so many people have home solar here, honestly.
Evocati Productions also says that this is how they charge big businesses, but this is the first in the nation for residential customers.
Yeah, shouldn't they just charge?
That's garbage.
Yeah, shouldn't they just charge the casinos at the strip like more to offset residential because they use so much light? I mean, it's on 24/7, so you know.
It does make sense to me for businesses, right? Because they're using a lot of the. They're putting a lot of the strain on the grid, so to speak. And so, like, I don't know if this will make us mortal enemies, maybe just normal enemies. But I do think kind of like water usage that if you're using a certain amount after a certain point, like, yeah, if you're going to be a high usage person, you should pay for it. Why should I subsidize you?
Audio listeners, Helena's just looking at Will.
We're both looking at each other. Now Will has moved an extra foot and a half away from me.
Here's the thing, Elena. The thing to remember.
Oh, here we go.
Isn't that you and I are enemies, right? They try to pit us against each other by applying
That's true.
pressure
am I just buying into?
Yeah, you're just buying into the late stage capitalism over here. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's not. We're not enemies. It's the system that should be the enemy. I'm sorry, I forgot. I forgot.
You got to get your hammers and chains and stuff. I think I think the other thing that's interesting that's happening in this space is happening in Germany and parts of the EU where people are doing.
It's very expensive over there.
Well, but people are actually doing like porch solar. They call it balcony solar. Yeah. So they'll hang a $250 solar panel off their balcony, plug it into their wall. I think is the basic strategy, which seems a little dangerous for a whole host of reasons. But they're reducing their power usage during those peak times, which I think we're going to see because the capital expense of putting a full solar install in, even here where there's a lot of installation, the panels are relatively expensive, is still 20 to 40 grand, depending on the size of your house and the size of the panel and whether you have to replace your existing electrical service and a whole bunch of other stuff. So like we're going to see better. I think we'll see more alternatives in the long term.
I hope so.
Yeah,
we'll see. Okay, let's get through more questions.
Oh, you got some? Okay, great.
Let's see. For Brad, I don't think you were here post Black Friday for the show.
No, I wasn't.
Yeah, so a friend of the show, Liquid R, asked, did you get your OLED monitor yet?
I was going to get my OLED monitor. Elena knows she was in the work chat that day. I went to lunch. I'm like, I need a break. I'm going to lunch. I'm coming back. I'm buying this OLED monitor. I found an unexpected $1,300 doctor bill. So there went my OLED monitor.
No,
like I'm not. That's a bummer. I'm not like broken, but it did break the dream of the monitor.
Sorry, Brad.
So Santa, if you're listening, just throwing it out there.
Santa.
By Santa, I mean Amanda.
Brad's been good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Deserves an OLED.
Let's see. Should we do?
Did you have another one, Willis, or should I go?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, where did it go? This one's for me.
Oh.
Friend of the show, Kaz MC, wants to know, how do I feel about local hardware-based cloud computing? I don't.
Is this like roll your own cloud? Is that the question?
I don't quite know, actually. So, Kaz, if you're listening, a follow-up would be good to that, because I'm not entirely sure how the parameters of this work.
I think it's like having a NOS, I think is ways to talk about that. You can connect whatever you want. It's your own private cloud.
I mean, a lot of us are already doing that informally, so I don't think that's anything new. Like, you can basically use Plex that way, right? So you can basically stream all your own media across your whole network. And I think a lot of us did that as a fun side project for at least like 10 to 15 years ago. That was the big fun thing to do.
I still do that. I think it's great.
I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying now it's more commonplace feeling, right? For me, it sounds great, but I also think that we don't necessarily have anything that would deploy in a way that would work for me in terms of, like, say, document editing, right? Or, spreadsheet editing. And those are the kind of things that I am doing based more in the cloud these days, because I can hop from machine to machine very easily. So that if, like, I am taking photos of something in one part of my house, not really a house, it's San Francisco, but one part of my residence, then, like, I can look really quickly to see, like, what images do I need for this story, as opposed to having to, like, walk all the way back or, like, write it out on a piece of paper so that I can have, like, the list of things that I need. So, like little things like that are very helpful for me in my job.
There's also stuff like OwnCloud and NextCloud and those types of things that basically are Dropbox mimics. So you put something on either like a virtual private server or something like that. You can buy like on Linode slice for a few bucks a month that you put attach some storage to on S3 or whatever. And then
that's a cloud.
That's a cloud.
Yeah.
But it's still you're hosting it, I guess. So
it's still somebody else's server.
It is still somebody else's server, or you can do it locally if you have a NAS or something like that inside your LAN. And then you instead of like doing your document editing in Google Docs or something like that, you open up a local client that connects to that shared space. And then there's a whole host of stuff like Obsidian and like note-taking apps that replicate the Notion or Evernote, or pick your model that you like.
Fair. I should actually look into that, because that would be pretty handy. You go ahead, sorry. Oh, I was going to say, Kaz actually did follow up and said, self-hosted GeForce Now.
Oh. That's a whole
you
different
buy
thing.
A box that has a 5090 and it self-provisions itself for game streaming. I love that chuckle. Brad.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Brad?
Yeah, I will let Brad answer this half part of the question.
Allow you to do that anytime soon.
I mean, you can do it with Sunshine and Moonlight right now. It is not turnkey or easy by any stretch of the imagination.
I was thinking like other people could do it. You could do more than one. Like split it. They did GeForce Now. Yeah, Sunshine and Moonlight, right?
Sunshine and Moonlight, yeah.
Yeah, they work fine. So does, streaming stuff in the house. But I've tried that. Like I have LG C3, so one of the TVs that has NVIDIA stuff built in, GeForce Now, G-Sync, all that stuff. And I've tried streaming stuff just from my wired-in office to the TV, which is wireless, but right next to the router. And it works, but you feel it. So personally, I'd rather spend the money on GeForce Now than spend $3,000 on a 5090.
I think the math has to shift pretty hard in the other direction to beat $10 a month on a streaming game service.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say is that the GPU time slicing stuff is starting to get kind of good on virtualization. So there is a potential world where, like, if you have 3 people or 2 people in your house that play games, you just slice up a 5090 or 5080 or whatever in a big giant big giant hypervisor with a couple of Windows installs on it or whatever, and you can dole those out to Moonlight clients.
You can't have your own 5070. You already have a 5090 at home. We can share.
Yeah, the dystopian hellscape is you have to share. Yeah, look, nobody's going to give their kids a shared 5090. They're going to get a shared 3070.
I'm just saying, we have one at home. Yeah. We can divide it among all of you.
Yeah.
You don't get your own.
Everybody gets a slice. It's not quite there yet. We've experimented with a little bit on Dual Boot Diaries, but it's like they're making progress in a way that they haven't before.
Willis, are there any questions from chat? Because it's been I haven't been tracking it as much.
No, I didn't actually see anything from chat, and we actually forgot to plug in that. So if you have any questions, please tag us.
My bad.
No, it's okay. It's also my job. If you have any questions, please tag us on chat at the Full Nerd Network, and all your Ken School questions will be answered. Let's see. From Discord still, I'm looking at, let's see here. VC Gesture, friend of the show, asks, does Adobe still say that they train their AI on things you create in their software?
Yeah, you have to opt out, just like everybody else. You pretty much assume that if you're using Notion, anybody that has an AI component of their business, if you don't actively go through and check the 50 million boxes that say, hey, don't use this for AI training, they're going to train the AI on your work.
You have to opt out. And then there's also some services where you can't opt out, right? So, for example, I think it's next week already. December 16th is when Meta begins training, using your AI chat data to train its model.
Did you see the thing where the Linux people have joked that the solution to your problem is RM space dash RF asterisk dash RF, which basically deletes everything automatically without any kind of prompt on the entire drive? That this is that being a snarky joke is comes up often enough that some of the AIs are trained, and occasionally they pop that up as the fix.
Oh no!
Yeah, yeah.
Brad is waving and spinning in the back.
I don't know if that's real. I haven't actually confirmed it, but I saw multiple people point to an article. It was AI is recommending RM-RF asterisk.
I wouldn't be surprised because we're already seeing reports of some of these chatbots, and I'm guessing it's actually agentic AI, not necessarily actually even just the chatbots. Maybe there's some of that going on where they've deleted the drive that the user was working on.
There's been multiple cases where people are using the agentic AI vibe coding apps and the DevOps side of the agentic AI. So for folks who don't know, the agentic AI is that instead of having one LLM that does everything, you have some more slightly specialized ones, and then a traffic cop LLM that lives in the middle that doles out tasks to the specialized AIs, so that you're basically you have an order of magnitude more devices lying to you instead of just the one. And so there was a guy who was like, hey, your Claude code deleted my entire application and deprovisioned all the servers and everything. And all the work I've done over the last 3 months is gone now. What the heck, man? And they're like, yeah, that's the thing it can do. You should verify everything that you get the AI to do before you let it do it.
I remember that.
And also kind of hilariously, but I also still wince in sympathy kind of thing where the AI is like, I feel so bad. This is catastrophic. Basically my bad, where I'm like, oh, you've been trained on the polite thing to say when a mistake happens, but it doesn't change any of this.
Yeah. Or it lies about reverting or whatever. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to get out of here in just a minute, guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's fit in one more, but before that, we got one super chat from VC Gesture. Thank you, $5 super chat. I guess next week I'll be posting fun facts on Facebook, and they will all be wrong.
Only the funnest.
I'm glad that VC Gesture, you actually asked that question about Photoshop, because here's a fun fact. A couple years ago, VC Gesture made an awesome Photoshop picture of me as Adam West Batman, and now I'm terrified that is being used to train AI.
Oh, no.
Ripple effects for my grandchildren.
Yep.
Terrified or stoked?
Let's go a little bit of both.
Well, now you'll get a Batmobile next to you then.
Look,
I've seen what the AI has Daffy Duck and Mickey Mouse do in some of these pictures.
No.
Oh no.
Oh wait. Well, on that, no.
Okay, one more question and let's get out of here. Friend of the show, Liquid R, asks, is AI going to do what consoles and mobile couldn't? Kill PC gaming.
Oh wow.
I actually think that if AI kills any gaming, it's going to be all gaming.
All gaming?
Like
Wow.
all local gaming, right? So I think things like GeForce Now and equivalent services could rise because that's where all the hardware, like performance and computational power will be. But I could see it really putting a crimp on local hardware.
I think the age of DIY hardware is under threat in a way that it has never been before in my lifetime.
I agree with all of that, but I also think that ATX is a cockroach for a reason and the PC is a cockroach for a reason, and we might have a rough couple of years. Yeah, we might have a rough couple of years, but I think we'll come out already in the end.
Yeah.
But I'm an optimist.
All right. I guess that'll do it. We'll actually get to go to lunch on time.
Yay.
Brad will get to go do his important things on time.
Nice.
All right.
Meetings, woo.
So that does it for this week's episode. Be sure to check back next week when we talk about our best of 2025 picks. It will likely get contentious for your amusement and our frustration. Somehow we still get through it, still mostly cordial afterwards.
I'm excited to see,
See the
what
gloves come off.
everybody thinks, yeah.
See the gloves come off. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to us on any number of platforms, which include Spotify, Apple. What is it called again? I always forget what they call it.
iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. Thank you.
YouTube.
YouTube, iHeartRadio. Obviously, if you're already on YouTube, then you're already listening to us there. Be sure to subscribe and like us. Yay! And Deezer, which is near and dear to Will's heart.
It's the Germans' favorite way to listen to podcasts.
Is it?
Yeah, that's what I've been told. Yeah.
Toll. If you like hearing more about our nerdy journeys into Linux and whether or not we will choose Linux or Windows at the end of an experiment, you should also subscribe to the Dual Boot Diary series that Will and Adam are still running right now. It's supposed to be a short run podcast, but there's no current end in sight at the moment, seems like, because you're going strong with diving into all the different aspects.
There's always something new to learn, it turns out.
Yeah.
And we're taking a lot of people on our magical journey with us.
We have actually a lot of really interested, really passionate people who have joined the Discord server to talk with us, but also mention that they are making the same journey that you and Adam have been, which is deciding to, get off Windows or transition. And then of course, if you like the written word and you like getting our hot takes on different things, I write a newsletter every week, also called The Full Nerd. And you can subscribe to that on PCWorld's website. So that is pcworld.com/newsletters/sign up. And you can subscribe to it there. And we also have some other really great newsletters. I love my colleague Dom's one where he just offers different tips every week of like different things you can try. And it's called Try This. I also highly recommend that too. But other than that, I am done with my fill-in host duties for the week.
Great
so
job.
We
job,
will
Elena. Yay.
catch you all next week. Thank you again to Brad for joining us on the TV.
Always a pleasure. Much better than what I'm about to go do. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye, Brad.
Thank you, Will, for not murdering me for.
Why would I murder you?
I don't know. I said some potentially hostile
you got
things.
heated. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to file a complaint with HR after this episode's over, but probably after you get a salad or something.
Yeah, that's true. We have to do it civilized, so we got to do it on a full stomach.
Yeah, exactly.
And Willis, we can take us out.
Hey, thank you, Elena. By the way, awesome sweater, the Be Quiet one.
Oh, yeah,
good.
everyone loves this sweater.
Yeah.
Everyone is so envious that I have this, full black and orange, full committal.
But it has trees and snowflakes. It's very holiday coded.
Perfect holiday sweater, and I bring it out once a year.
Yeah, I think next week I finally got my Christmas sweater in for next week, so I'll be showcasing that next week.
Next week I'm cheating a little bit. I am keeping up with the holiday theme throughout the month, but next week I'm cheating a little bit. That's a little bit of a hint,
spoilers.
teaser.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Don't forget to tune in for next week's. We got 2 more episodes left.
2 more for the year.
2 more for the year. So, yeah, stick around for that, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.